Dark Souls is a game famous for its difficulty. To beat it, we could spend hours learning all of the bosses and get good at fighting them, or we could just cheese them all. I'm far from the first person to attempt to cheese all of the bosses, and I likely won't be the last. However, unlike other cheese runs, simply stacking up a ton of damage and instantly nuking a boss will not be considered cheese. You're not really cheesing the boss at that point, just cheesing the damage mechanic. For cheese to count in this run, the boss must either become harmless to you, or harmful to itself. If there is no other option, we'll go for a quick kill on the boss, but it still will not be considered cheese. I will also be including methods to completely skip bosses in this run, as what's more cheesy than avoiding the fight altogether? Now for a skip to count in this run, we must be able to access the area directly beyond the boss. I am well aware that you can complete the game in only 3 bosses, but that's not the point of this video. For example, just taking the back entrance to Blighttown will not count as skipping the Capra Demon. To skip the Capra Demon, we need to find a way into the depths without killing him. With these rules established, let's begin. Starting off, we have the classic Asylum skip. Start the run off with black firebombs, hit him with 5 of them, then warp or save and quit before victory achieved appears. Oscar will give us the key to leave the asylum, and the demon will still be considered alive, but can't stop us from leaving. While this lets us leave with the Asylum Demon still alive, some of you may not be satisfied that we still had to fight him, so I present to you an alternative method, True Asylum Skip. To perform True Asylum Skip, first we need to clear out the enemies near the fog gate, then drop an item by the right corner of it. From there, if we line up the camera on a specific angle and use the keyboard to turn forward without moving, we can enter the fog gate and pick up the item 1 frame later by using our controller for one input and our keyboard for the other. This will allow us to enter the fog gate at a weird angle and end up in the wall. From there, we just sprint and jump over the wall to skip the fight. I have a dedicated tutorial for this skip if you would like a clearer explanation. Now for the cheese method. Start off as the hunter class and grab your bow and arrows. After clearing out the enemies near the fog gate, enter it. Once there, prepare to save and quit as soon as the demon destroys the ledge. When you load back in, enter the fog gate again, but this time from as far to the left and as far back as possible. Prepare to save and quit again. For whatever reason, this part of the ledge is considered stable ground, and we could load back into the arena with the demon facing away from us. Aim the bow a bit off to the right, and then free aim so we can look further downwards. From here, we can pelt the demon with arrows while he fights the ghosts in his head. And with that, we've completed the tutorial boss with no risk to ourselves. Before we move on to the next boss, we're going to do some setup so that we don't have to do it later. Grab the Zweihander from the graveyard, the soul behind the door and the soul between the dragon's talons in the Valley of Drakes, the red tearstone ring, and the grass crest shield. Make your way to Andre, and use the prompt swap glitch to use 99 of the first soul we picked up. Buy the Crest of Artorias, 999 wooden arrows, and whatever else you want. Then drop the remainder of your standard arrows and prompt swap from the standard arrows to the longsword in Andre's menu to buy 999 longswords. Bring up a prompt on the longsword afterwards to store a quantity of negative 998 in memory, and then use prompt swap to duplicate the soul item in our inventory by dropping a negative quantity of it. You can repeat this dupe process for whatever other items you want just by bringing up another prompt on the longsword. I'm going to use it to dupe my humanity as well. From here, drop all of the soul items we have except one. Then bring up a drop prompt on the wooden arrows to store a quantity of 999 in memory. Utilizing prompt swap again, we can use 999 of the remaining soul item, and safely pick up the rest off the ground. Buy 99 Titanite shards from Andre, then head to the bonfire to do some leveling. We're going to get 40 Vitality, 16 Attunement, 20 Endurance, 16 Strength, 45 Dexterity, and dump any remaining souls into Intelligence. We could level up more, but these stats are sufficient and it'll be more efficient to do it later. Now return to Firelink and head to the Male Undead Merchant. Dupe some more souls, then buy 99 Firebombs, the Residence Key, and 999 Standard Arrows. Don't buy large arrows like I did. I didn't realize how bad they were. Head back towards the entrance of the Berg and jump through this gap in the wall. From here, we can climb on the nearby ladder, then back off of it and turn around as soon as our character finishes fully standing up. Doing this will cause us to end up on top of the ladder, where we can then roll at the crenellations to get out of bounds. Now make your way over to the Female Undead Merchant and buy 99 Blooming Purple Moss Clumps, Dung Pies, Homeward Bones, and 999 Poison Arrows. Now we're going to continue further down with a couple drops, and a tight jump onto a tunnel. Once here, we're going to head close to the end of the tunnel, and throw a firebomb slightly to the left to free Laurentius. With him free, we can warp out using a Homeward Bone. Now we need to free Griggs. Head to the same ladder as before, but roll onto the crenellations at the opposite side. From there, we can utilize a fall damage cancel to get to the lower Berg safely. To avoid the dogs, you can either run behind the fire to make them roast themselves, or you can save and quit when you're close to the door. No matter how you choose to do it, open the door and warp out. Speak to Griggs, buy Fall Control, a Catalyst, and both of his rings. Now speak to Laurentius, upgrading the Pyromancy Flame he gives you 2+15. With this done, head to Lower Blighttown and make your way to Quelaag. Speak to her, ascending your Pyromancy Flame to +5, then buy Great Fireball, Combustion, and Great Combustion. Unfortunately for Quelaag, we also want Fire Tempest. Now.
Then here is a lesson for you. You can only learn once.
With Quelaag's untimely death, the only thing left to do is head through Blighttown backwards and grab power within. Our initial setup is finally complete. On to the Taurus Demon. Can he be skipped? With the Master Key? Yes. It's as simple as going through New Londo Ruins into the Valley of Drakes, or going through Havel's Tower into Darkroot Basin. But what if we didn't start with the Master Key? Can we still skip him? The answer is surprisingly, still yes. After killing the Hollow who pushes the barrel at you and saving and quitting to get the other enemies off of you, run and jump at the nearby stair railing and save and quit. When you load back in, equip the straight sword hilt to make the plunge more consistent, and run and jump towards the side of the tower. Perform a plunging attack, and be prepared to save and quit again as you may slide off. You're now considered to be in Darkroot Basin, so a force quit wrong warp will send us to the beginning of Darkroot Garden and bypass the Taurus Demon. Now for the cheese method. Taurus has the very well-known ability to fall off the ledge of his arena. By performing a specific series of actions, we can get him to do it voluntarily pretty consistently. If he doesn't go straight off, you can still usually bait him the rest of the way off. Next up we have the Gargoyles. There's no known way to skip them, so we're going straight for the cheese. First, enter their arena to trigger the boss fight, then immediately save and quit. Now we can use the same trick we did to skip the Asylum Demon to enter the arena without touching the boss fight trigger. This will prevent the first Gargoyle's AI from activating, making him completely harmless. The second Gargoyle will still have a functioning AI, however, but with our overpowered build, he won't be much of a problem. Time for another upgrade. We're going to head inside the door to Darkroot Garden and join up with the Forest Covenant to de-aggro them. With that done, we're going to now immediately betray the Covenant by killing this archer to get the Black Bow of Ferris and a cool new hat. The Black Bow of Ferris has the longest range of any bow in the game, so it'll come in handy for a few things. Bring it over to Andre to immediately upgrade it to +5. Before I started research for this video, I didn't think skipping or cheesing the Moonlight Butterfly was possible, but a YouTuber by the name Pinball Cat found an insane method of skipping this boss fight. This is the one trick in this video that I did not perform myself, as it would have taken me far too long to learn it. I will leave a link to Pinball Cat's video in the description if you want to see it for yourself in its entirety. So skipping the Moonlight Butterfly is technically possible, but what about cheesing it? Nobody has found a way to true cheese the butterfly. That is, nobody but me. I am proud to say I discovered a way to cheese the butterfly while working on this video. I am not so proud to say that it's brutally difficult. The first step is using the fog gate entry angle glitch to get onto the railing of the arena. Unfortunately, there's no angle on this side where we can both trigger the boss fight and land safely on the ground outside of the arena. This is where the brutal difficulty comes in. We need to jump to the railing on the other side of the arena without rolling or bouncing off. We don't have enough time to plunge, so we just have to hope we jump at the perfect angle to finish the entire roll animation without falling off. Now when you successfully make it across, you need to make one final semi-precise jump through the boss fight trigger and out of the arena. This jump isn't that hard to make, but it is another possible point of failure after the very brutal previous jump. If you can manage all of that, your reward is a truly cheesable Moonlight Butterfly. Just walk behind this tree, and you're completely out of range of its attacks. From here, you can snipe it with your bow until it's dead. This is also where I realized how bad large arrows were. Next up is a boss that is much easier both to skip and to cheese. Skip Capra, just continue on from where we rescued Laurentius, and make a couple jumps onto this tunnel, then drop down to walk inside the depths. As for cheese, we have a couple options. We can again utilize this ladder to get on the crenellations, then use the straight sword hilt to swing our way across. From here, we can again use the straight sword hilt to swing to the building across from us and roll down into Capra's arena. Entering like this skips the boss fight trigger, and his AI won't be active. If that method isn't cheesy enough for you, we have another option. Instead of going into Capra's arena, we can drop down to the lower Berg and kill the 2 nearby dogs. With the dogs dealt with, equip your bow and walk into this corner. Count 4 supports to the left of the tower, then aim at the crenel above it. Throw 3 firebombs, then reset and repeat. With the depths now accessible, make your way in and grab the large ember. For Gaping Dragon, we can skip him just by using the back entrance to Blighttown. But what about Cheese? Sadly, there's no known way to true Cheese Gaping. So the best I can offer is a one-shot kill using Fire Tempest, Power Within, the Red Tearstone Ring, and the Bellowing Dragon Crest Ring. Next up is Quelaag, and we can indeed skip her. We need to trigger her cutscene by entering her arena normally. After entering, warp out and return to Blighttown. This time, follow this path and jump on this pillar. From here, make sure you have full health and carefully walk off the ledge to land on the platform below. Immediately backstep, as there is a kill box directly in front of us. After loading back in, equip the Zweihander, jump over the dark spot on the floor, put your shield away, and use the Zweihander to perform a fall damage cancel in the corner of the platform. This allows us to survive the fall with no damage. Now make your way through the swamp, into Quelaag's arena, and blindly navigate your way to the stable ground of the staircase beyond it. After loading back in, you'll be able to ring the bell with Quelaag unable to do anything about it. Cheesing Quelaag is a much simpler process. Grab your bow, and choose one of the handful of places where she can't fit, then just shoot her in the human part until she's dead. Next up, we'll do some more upgrading before venturing into Anor Londo. We want the very large ember, but going through the process of draining the water to get it is too much work. Fortunately, we can utilize the properties of fall control to get it without worrying about the water. When you get close to the first fog gate, cast fall control, jump across, and save and quit as you touch the ground. This is a trick known as a fall control quit out, and it allows you to survive drops that would otherwise kill you. Upon loading back in, immediately cast fall control again. There's a kill box on the stairs in front of us, but fall control allows us to survive with only the death cam active. Once past the stairs, save and quit again. Finally past all of the potential lethalities, we can grab our reward. The Stray Demon holds the Titanite slab we'll need for upgrading, so we might as well deal with him now. He's a completely optional boss that doesn't block you from accessing anything, so I'd personally say you can't really skip him. But you can avoid him altogether, so I'll let you be the final judge of whether he's skippable or not. As for cheese, first you'll want to kill the two hollows residing in the Asylum Demon's room. Once they're dealt with, save and quit to get the other hollows off of you. Now enter the Stray Demon's arena from one of the corners and roll off to the side. He apparently has pretty poor eyesight and doesn't notice you, nor the gaping hole in his arena's ceiling. Sight isn't his only poor sense, as he also doesn't notice when you hit him with dung pies. 3 successful hits will inflict him with toxic, and he'll just continue patrolling his arena as long as you're off to the side. He's quite a tanky boy, however, and a single dose of toxic isn't enough to kill him, so you'll need to re-inflict him a second time when the first dose wears off. And we've successfully won the fight against the Stray Demon without him even being aware he was in a fight. Grab the slab he drops, then head up and grab the peculiar doll. Now it's time to head into Sen's fortress and get the rest of the upgrade materials we need. First, have one of the employees assist you in breaking this wall, then free Logan and speak to him, and grab the soul of a hero. Next, make your way to the top of the fortress, and stop by the Crestfallen Merchant to pick up 99 black firebombs, 99 large Titanite shards, and 999 feather arrows. Make your way to the bottom of the Merchant's tower to get the cage key, and unlock the elevator shortcut. Now make your way to the bridge past the entrance to the Iron Golem's arena, and we can use our bow to safely take out the firebomb giant. With him dealt with, head up and collect the Titanite chunky drops, then warp out. Return to Andre, give him both embers, and duplicate the soul of a great hero, the Titanite chunk, and the Titanite slab. Afterwards, upgrade the black bow of Ferris to plus 15. Now use all of the remaining souls of a proud knight, as we won't be needing them anymore. Then drop all of the souls of a hero except one, and use quantity storage and prompt swap to use 999 of the one remaining in our inventory. We can now do some more leveling, and if you want even more levels, just repeat the previous process to get as high leveled as you want. Time to skip the Iron Golem. To skip the Iron Golem, we need to perform a grab cancel by landing a running attack with the Zweihander at the same time he grabs us. This will result in us being launched backwards. However, it's not as simple as just performing a grab cancel. We need to line up so we get sent in nearly a perfect straight line backwards, and get far enough under him to get the distance we need to land on the platform inside Anor Londo. This is a very precise trick, and it may take a while to get a feel for it. After landing it, a Force Quit Wrong Warp will get us to the beginning of Anor Londo. Now for cheese. First we have the intended cheese, where you deal 400 damage to his lower legs to make him stagger, followed by another 200 damage while he's staggering to make him fall off the edge. But maybe that's not cheesy enough for you. So alternatively, we have the option to use a grab cancel to get knocked back into the room where you enter his arena from. Once there, simply move over to the same bridge we killed the firebomb giant from, and pelt him with arrows. Next up is the most beloved duo in Dark Souls, Ornstein and Smough. There's no known way to skip them, but we do have a couple cheese options. For option number 1, enter their arena to trigger the cutscene, then quit out. Loading back in, we can again utilize the Fog Gate entry angle glitch to bypass the boss fight trigger and take out Ornstein for free. We'll still have to fight Super Smough normally, but he's not that bad on his own. Or option 2, take out the two giants in the previous room, and lure the Silver Knight to the Fog Gate. By parrying and riposting him with our back against the Fog Gate, we can enter the boss fight trigger without actually entering the room. Take out the Silver Knight, and from there, we can use Dung Pies and Black Firebombs to hit Smough through the Fog Gate every time he attempts a charge attack. Now for Super Ornstein, we just need to bait him into his lightning throw and shoot him with arrows. It can take a while, but it's completely safe. Before we leave Anor Londo, grab the hawk ring from behind the giant blacksmith. Return to Firelink and speak to Logan to buy Soul Spear. Make sure you finish his dialogue so his quest continues. Place the Lord Vessel, then head over to the cliff above Darkroot Basin, where we can utilize the hawk ring alongside our bow to completely cheese the Hydra. Once at the bottom of the basin, jump up to these rocks and save and quit out. Loading back in, we can safely take out the golden golem to free Dusk. After speaking to her, head to the shore to summon and speak to her again, buying Hidden Body. Return to Firelink once more, this time speaking to Griggs to buy a second Soul Spear. Head into the Duke's Archives and take out the Crystal Golem to get the Broken Pendant, then make your way to Seath. There's nothing after Seath, so a skip is a no-go. As for cheese, we've also got nothing. So a one-shot with Fire Tempest will have to do. With Seath dealt with, it's time to visit Logan in the Archives. Buy Crystal Soul Spear, then kill him to get the Tin Crystallization Catalyst. It's okay, he was about to lose his mind anyway. Carrying on, next up is Gwyndolin. There's no known skip for him, but there is cheese. As long as we stay far back, he won't attack us. However, even with the Black Bow of Ferris, the Hawk Ring, and Feather Arrows, we still won't do any damage. Poison Arrows, however, are still effective. 7 shots will inflict poison, and Gwyndolin will continue to just stand there, menacingly. You'll need to poison him a total of 4 times for the kill. Time for Priscilla. Can you skip her? Yes, she's the one boss that does not immediately want to fight you on sight, so you can just walk right past her and leave the Painted World. How about cheese? Priscilla has been isolated in the Painted World for so long that she doesn't realize that throwing feces at someone is not a normal greeting. So, she doesn't mind being hit with dung pies. She'll just stand there as she slowly dies of a mixture of cholera and dysentery. There's no skipping Sif, but there is some pretty good cheese. First, trigger the boss fight, then quit out. When you load back in, jump onto the destroyed wall to the left of the entrance, walk up, and snipe Sif with your bow. After taking out Sif, head down to where we rescued Dusk to collect her crown, and enter the DLC. Time to continue our reign of animal abuse by taking out the Sanctuary Guardian. There's no known cheese or skip here, but a one-shot with Fire Tempest is pretty easy to achieve. Next up is Artorias. First, make your way to his arena, and trigger the boss fight, then immediately save and quit. We can now skip him by utilizing fall control and a few meme rolls down one of the elevator shafts across from his arena. Now we're going to make use of Hidden Body to more safely get through the Chasm of the Abyss, grabbing Dark Bead along the way. Make your way to the bonfire, then up the elevator, continuing to use Hidden Body to make the trek a bit less dangerous. Go up the final elevator to Ulysseal Township, and grab the bonfire to finish truly skipping Artorias. Artorias can also be cheesed, and skipping him is actually a requirement to cheese him. Just make your way up the stairs that lead to Golf, and it's as simple as shooting him with our bow. Now for Manus. Manus is actually one of the easier bosses to cheese. Make your way to his fog gate, but instead of entering, go over by the pit next to it where you can see him from. Clear out the nearby humanity phantoms, then utilize the hawk ring alongside your bow and line up your angle. Then free aim and try to align your character's arm with Manus' glowing eyes. Then just open fire. If it wasn't obvious, there's nothing after Manus, so no skip. Time for the last boss left in the DLC, Kalameet. Like Manus, there's nothing after Kalameet, so no skip. We do have cheese, however. We're going to utilize a speedrun trick called Golfless. In speedruns, Golfless can be a pretty tough trick to learn properly since you're trying to take down Kalameet as quickly as possible. What I'm going to show you here is a very easy, but slower method of Golfless. Nonetheless, it's completely safe. Make sure you have Crystal Soul Spear and both normal Soul Spears attuned, and head over to Kalameet's arena. Take the ladder down this time to avoid taking fall damage, then save and quit when you see Kalameet flying in. When you load back in, drop down to the rock with the crystal lizard on it, and one of two things will happen. Either Kalameet will fly in immediately, in which case you'll want to wait a second for his attack to end, or he won't, and you can proceed immediately. Once it's safe, drop down and run to this little crevice with the plants next to the tipped over log. For whatever reason, you won't be hit here. Swap the Dust Crown ring for the Bellowing Dragon Crest ring, and the Red Tearstone ring should now be active. Once his attack ends, run over and stand on this reddish plant. Once he starts flying in again, run over to the flat green plant you can see in front of us. From here, aim the camera all the way up and towards Kalameet. Fire a single soul spear off, then return to the reddish plant when he flies away. We can repeat moving between these two plants and attacking to take down Kalameet completely safely. If you didn't forget to equip the Crown of Dusk like I did, it should only take 4 shots to take him out. Otherwise, it'll take 5. After the final hit, he'll fly away and die a very unceremonious death. You don't even get a victory achieved. Returning to the base game, next on our list is Ceaseless. We can skip him by taking advantage of the geometry on the right side of the lava lake. The initial dropdown is usually the hardest part of this trick, but it's made much easier using fall control. And of course, Ceaseless also has the very well-known intended cheese, where we loot his sister's corpse, then run back to the fog gate where he'll jump and get himself stuck, allowing us to smack him a few times for victory. After Ceaseless, it's Fire Sage, and we have another skip available to us. First, clear out the 2 demonic statues and the Taurus Demon by his fog gate. Now make your way to this corner behind the nearby rockworm, and save and quit to reset its position. I find it makes this way more consistent. We need to perform a grab cancel on the rockworm while moving backwards into this corner to clip through the wall. A light swing with the grass crest shield as soon as you see the worm's grab animation start is a pretty easy way to do this. Be sure you're close to max health before committing to the grab cancel, as the fall damage here is quite high. After successfully clipping through the wall, you'll end up in the ceiling of the Centipede Demon's arena. You can either drop down in the arena to fight the Centipede Demon immediately, or drop down just outside of the fog gate to go to the nearby bonfire. We can also cheese Fire Sage. Much like Artorias, skipping him is a requirement to cheese him. Proceed up the stairs that take you up to the elevator to Quelaag's domain. At the top, jump across the gap a couple times to get to the far side. From here, we can utilize a plunging attack to make Fire Sage act as a cushion and enter his arena safely without his AI active. Once in his arena, you can decide how to deal with him. On to the Centipede Demon. Can we skip him? Yes, just join the Chaos Covenant and offer 30 soft humanity. This will make it so that the door that leads directly to the bed of chaos will be open. As for cheese, we have a couple options. First, there's the well-known one that many players, myself included, encountered completely by accident. Just stand near the left side of the arena and wait for him to grab you. He'll launch himself either completely out of bounds or on top of his arena. If he doesn't fall immediately, just run by the exit fog gate and he'll walk off. If that one doesn't do it for you, we have another option. First, enter his arena to trigger the cutscene, and warp out. Now perform Fire Sage skip again, but this time enter the Centipede Demon's arena. Entering like this, the Centipede Demon's AI is not active, and we can safely take him out. Now for the Bed of Chaos. She's the last boss of this section of the game, so no skip. As for cheese, if we stand on the dark spot at the intersection of these tiles and throw 2 fire bombs at the corner of these branches on each side, we'll skip the most annoying part of this fight and can immediately run in and take out the bug. Whether this counts as true cheese or not, I'll leave up to you. Doesn't make the boss harmless to you, nor does it make the boss harmful to itself. I'd personally say yes, because as long as you're fast enough, it's usually completely safe to do this, but it's not 100% foolproof. Making our way to the catacombs, it's time for Pinwheel. Can we skip this notorious boss? Yes. Head down the hallway with the Titanite Demon and grab the Eyes of Death at the end of it. After that, take a nap in the coffin to get to Nito's room. Because we're now technically in the Tomb of Giants, a Force Quit Wrong Warp will send us to the beginning of the area, just past Pinwheel's boss room. Sadly, there's no known Pinwheel cheese, so we'll have to do this very difficult fight normally. There's nothing beyond Nito, so no skip. There's also no known true cheese, so just blast him with Dark Bead. On to the Four Kings. While we can certainly cheese our way into their arena, there's no known way to true cheese the actual boss. However, with our buffs, we can hit the first king once to kill him, then hit his lingering hurt box to finish the fight. Lastly, there's Gwyn. He's the final boss, so no skip obviously, but can we cheese him? First, let's jump up here. We can still get hit, so not quite cheese just yet. Eventually, Gwyn will decide to join us up here. Once this happens, roll or jump to the left to escape. Now simply walk to the right in front of the rocky area, and he's stuck. Even his jump attack won't free him. At this point, we can pelt him with arrows with no threat to ourselves, and beat the game. And there we have it. With Gwyn down, we were able to true cheese a total of 20 of the game's 26 bosses, 19 if you don't include the Bed of Chaos, and skip 13 of them, or 14 if you include the Stray Demon. In any case, that's all for this video. I hope you found it helpful or interesting, and I will see you guys in another video.